Dubai, a city of gold, a place that promises everything and shows only what it wants the world to see. For years, Dubai has been presented to the world as the epicenter of modern luxury, a city where the sun never sets on extravagance, where private jets cross the sky like silver arrows, and where influencers from around the globe pose before skylines that look almost unreal. But beneath the glittering towers and endless luxury lies a shadowed world, a hidden economy that few dare to speak about publicly, a world wrapped in secrecy, power, and silence. For thousands of young women from Africa, Europe, South America, and beyond, Dubai is more than just a destination. It's an invitation, an escape from hardship, a chance to touch the world they've only seen on screens. But for some, that invitation leads not to luxury, but to a trap that many around the world now whisper about, known only by one word: Portapotty. It begins quietly, a direct message on social media, a friend of a friend with connections, a mysterious offer, all expenses paid, a flight, a hotel, and more money than they've ever imagined earning in a single weekend. The promise is always the same: come to Dubai, live the dream. On platforms like Instagram and TikTok, the dream is easy to believe. A single flight can take someone from an ordinary life to a villa overlooking the sea, to a night surrounded by luxury cars and rooftop pools. Many women accept without hesitation. But what they don't know is that behind some of these offers lies a carefully constructed system of exploitation, one that operates quietly, efficiently, and in plain sight. The recruitment process doesn't begin with force. It begins with desire. Middlemen, sometimes influencers themselves, identify young women looking for a way out of poverty or simply searching for a taste of luxury. They present themselves as sponsors, agents, or friends. They promise payment: $5,000, $10,000, sometimes even more. But the real transaction is never written. It's whispered between lines, disguised in coded language. He told me I wouldn't have to do anything I didn't want to. Just show up, smile, look pretty. He said it would be easy money, but nothing about it was easy. Everything is wrapped in glamour. Flights are booked in business class. Hotels are 5 stars. Drivers wait with name signs at the airport. And when they arrive, the illusion deepens. Every step, the welcome, the champagne, the high-end cars, is designed to make them feel chosen, special, protected. But what they don't see is the invisible contract. A contract that was never written, but signed the moment they boarded the plane. These offers are rarely made in plain language. Recruiters use euphemisms: private dinner, party weekend, VIP event. To the uninitiated, it seems innocent. To those inside the system, it's a well-known code. Behind these euphemisms is a disturbing truth. Some of these parties are not celebrations at all. They are transactions. The first time, I didn't understand what they meant by special night. They said it was part of the deal. If I didn't do it, they said I had to pay back everything: the ticket, the hotel, even the driver. I had no money. I was stuck. For many, the moment they arrive in Dubai, they are no longer in control. Passports are sometimes collected for safekeeping. Phones are monitored, and the walls of the luxury villa become less like a home and more like a cage. The world outside may be just a few meters away, but escape is no longer simple. Some stay silent. Some return home, broken but alive. Others never speak again. Meanwhile, on Instagram, the illusion continues. A smiling selfie by the pool, designer bags, champagne bottles, captions about living the dream. But behind the filtered stories are real nightmares, experiences few will ever tell out loud. The Portapotty scandal is not just a rumor, it's a network, one that thrives on silence, shame, and power. The world first heard the term Portapotty through leaked videos and anonymous confessions. The stories were shocking, too disturbing for many to believe. But as more testimonies surfaced, the whispers grew louder. Whispers of young women subjected to degrading acts in exchange for money. Whispers of powerful men who treat human beings as disposable entertainment. Whispers that stretch far beyond the borders of Dubai. I can't say his name, but they were powerful, untouchable. We were warned if we spoke, no one would believe us anyway. Behind every Portapotty story is a transaction, not a love or opportunity, but power. This hidden economy thrives because it's profitable, because silence is cheap, and because shame is the most effective leash. Recruiters earn, hosts earn, the victims survive. This isn't just a local problem. It's a global pipeline, stretching across continents. From cities in Africa, Europe, and Latin America, young women are recruited. Dubai is a destination. Luxury is the bait. Exploitation is the trap. For every story that reaches the internet, there are dozens that never will. Dubai sells a dream. And like all great illusions, it's easy to believe until you're inside it. Behind the luxury lies a truth carefully hidden, a world built not on gold, but on silence. This is how it begins. This is how the Portapotty web spreads. Quietly, invisibly, through whispers and DMs, through promises of wealth and luxury. But this is only the surface. The moment a jet lands at the glittering terminals of Dubai International, the story changes. For many of these women, the flight is not just a trip, it is a contract, a silent transaction they may not fully understand yet. At first, everything seems glamorous. Private airport pickups, a black car waiting, a driver who knows their name but says little. Their phones are buzzing with new instructions, a text message with just 2 words. Welcome. Tonight, they are driven through wide, polished highways, watching as towers rise on both sides of the road. The city feels like a postcard, perfect and untouchable. But behind tinted windows, something else unfolds. Recruiters never call it what it is. They speak in a language designed to comfort, not to reveal. You'll have fun. You'll meet good people. No pressure. But what begins as a glamorous invitation quickly becomes something else. Most of the operations follow a clear pattern. Someone, often a woman already inside the network, scouts on social media, Instagram, TikTok, encrypted messaging apps. They know the kind of profile to target. Young, ambitious, chasing luxury. They offer an exclusive trip. The promise is always the same. Luxury, travel, easy money, no strings attached. But what isn't said is what matters most. Once the plane ticket is booked, the illusion is sealed. Upon arrival, passports are quietly collected, not snatched, not stolen, simply kept safe. For many, it doesn't even register as a red flag. They're in a foreign country, dazzled by the skyline, overwhelmed by the smooth choreography of the journey. Their phones are monitored. They're told where to stay, who to meet, and what to wear. The word choice fades fast. They said I could leave anytime, but the moment they took my passport, I knew I was already trapped. The doors weren't locked, but I wasn't free. The first night is usually an event, a private villa, dozens of women, music, perfume in the air. The scent of money is everywhere. But behind that glamour, the reality is transactional. Wealthy clients arrive. Some are locals. Some are international. None of them are naive. They know why the women are here. Everything is negotiated through layers. Intermediaries, hosts, recruiters. The women rarely meet the decision makers directly. Their identities are shielded. The system is built to protect the powerful and expose the powerless. I thought I was going to dinner, but it wasn't a dinner. It was a market. The system thrives on silence, not because it must be hidden, but because it's designed to be invisible. The parties take place in villas, yachts, and penthouses that never appear on public maps. The contracts are verbal, the payments in cash or crypto, the rules unwritten. But they are clear. No recording, no talking, no leaving, and always no witnesses. Women who try to resist are met with veiled threats. You'll be reported for illegal work. You'll lose everything. We know where you live. Many are told that if they speak out, their families back home will be dragged into it. Whether the threat is real or not doesn't matter. It works. In the shadows, there are the handlers. They're often women themselves, once victims, now gatekeepers. Some recruit to survive, others to profit. They build trust. They act like sisters, friends, guides. They say, "I'll take care of you." But what they really mean is, "You're in the system now." They arrange everything. Transportation, outfits, instructions on how to behave. The line between luxury and exploitation disappears. She hugged me at the airport. She said I was safe, but it was a lie I wanted to believe. The Portapotty arrangement is infamous because it strips away even the pretense of glamour. It is the final stage of an unspoken agreement, a humiliating transaction that exposes brutality beneath the gold. The sums offered are large, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars for a single night, enough to buy silence, enough to make escape feel complicated. The power imbalance is total. A woman alone in a foreign land without a passport, a client with influence, money, and protection, and a system that looks the other way. In this underground economy, shame is a weapon. Victims are recorded without their consent. Some are blackmailed. Some are told their families will see everything if they don't comply. These recordings are the leash, a modern form of digital bondage. There's also the fear of legal retaliation. Many victims are technically violating visa terms. That makes them vulnerable. Authorities can be weaponized against them rather than protecting them. I couldn't go to the police. Who will believe me? Who will protect me? I was the illegal one. Outside, the city continues to shine. Tourists walk the pristine malls. Influencers pose on yachts. The skyline glows like a jewel. And in that brightness, the shadows hide easily. Few speak openly about it. Fewer still act. This silence is not accidental. It is systemic. Luxury economies rely on invisibility. And in Dubai, invisibility is easy to buy. For every woman who escapes, there are others who stay. Some stay because they feel trapped. Some because they believe they can still find their way out. Some simply because they need the money. But the network doesn't let go easily. Recruiters stay in touch. Handlers send new offers. The cycle continues. Behind these individual stories lies a sophisticated structure. Money moves through layers of shell companies. Bookings happen on encrypted platforms. Identities are masked behind offshore accounts. It isn't random. It is organized. It is deliberate. What began as rumors whispered online has, over time, revealed itself to be a global web of wealth, exploitation, and silence. And at the center of it all, a city built to shine so brightly that no one notices the darkness beneath. Behind closed doors, the story isn't about luxury. It's about power, who has it, and who pays the price. For years, it lived in whispers, hidden in luxury villas, passed through encrypted chats, buried beneath flawless Instagram feeds. But then, one night, one clip changed everything. It wasn't an official report, not a breaking news headline, just a shaky phone recording uploaded anonymously at 3:14 a.m. Within hours, it spread like fire. The video showed what everyone had tried to deny: a group of young women in a luxury Dubai villa, surrounded by men whose faces were blurred but whose power was unmistakable. There was no way to prove the exact identities, but the imagery was undeniable. It wasn't just gossip anymore. It was evidence, raw, disturbing, real. Journalists didn't break the story. The internet did. Whistleblowers, anonymous accounts, leaked voice notes, private chats turned public screenshots. The mirage of glamour that had shielded the network began to shatter piece by piece. Dubai, a city built to control its image, suddenly faced something it couldn't delete fast enough. It felt like watching a castle of gold collapse under its own weight. The truth was out, and once the world saw it, they couldn't unsee it. The leak didn't come from journalists or government insiders. It came from the inside, from the very people who once helped keep the silence. They weren't heroes. They weren't looking for fame. Most of them were just tired of the fear, tired of the lies, tired of being silent while the powerful lived untouched. The first whistleblower was a woman, a former handler. She didn't post her face. She didn't use her real name. Her message was simple and chilling. You don't know the half of it. Then came others. Anonymous accounts, encrypted messages, voice notes, screenshots, photos, stories that lined up too well to be dismissed as rumors. Authorities tried to contain it. Platforms tried to censor it, but it was already too late. Once the dam broke, the network of silence began to crack. For the first time, the world saw that this wasn't a single story. It was a system, polished, funded, protected, a machine powered by money and hidden behind velvet curtains. Whistleblowers weren't just leaking secrets. They were naming names, powerful names, names that made people uncomfortable, names no one dared speak in public before. And with every new leak, the internet grew louder. The truth didn't come out all at once. It came out like smoke through the cracks. But smoke always leads to fire. What started as whispers in private chats became headlines that circled the globe. Screenshots went viral. Anonymous testimonies spread like wildfire. And suddenly, the glittering image of luxury was no longer untouchable. Major cities that once idolized the lifestyle, the yachts, the gold, the silk sheets, began to question the price of it all. Influencers who flaunted perfection online now found their comment sections flooded with questions, and silence was no longer a shield. Governments began issuing quiet statements. Investigations whispered behind closed doors, and the world, for the first time, started connecting the dots. This wasn't just a scandal. It was a mirror, a reflection of power, desire, and what some were willing to trade for both. One story became 100 stories. 100 stories became a movement. But the louder it got, the more dangerous it became for those who spoke out. Some accounts disappeared overnight. Some voices went silent. And yet more kept coming. Because when truth echoes, it cannot be erased. Globe showing Europe, Africa, the global machine that once thrived on silence was now shaking under the weight of its own secrets. When power is threatened, it doesn't fold. It fights back. And in Dubai, where image is everything, this fight wasn't loud. It was silent, precise, calculated. Within hours of the whistleblower's leaks going global, lawyers moved in. Cease and desist letters flooded inboxes. Journalists received friendly warnings. Some influencers, terrified, deleted their accounts overnight, and suddenly, the hashtags began to vanish. Social platforms started flagging the content. Some videos disappeared with no explanation. Others were buried under a flood of distraction campaigns. Fake celebrity gossip, random trends, meaningless noise. This wasn't random. It was strategy. The network was trying to drown the truth, but the more they tried to bury it, the louder the world got. Activists reposted the leaks in dozens of countries. Mirror sites popped up overnight. People saved the files, screenshots, recordings. What was meant to be contained became uncontrollable. Inside Dubai, quiet arrests were made, not of the powerful, but of the messengers. Whistleblowers went missing. A foreign journalist was deported. A young woman who went public was suddenly unreachable. The empire was shaking, not because it fell, but because it had to reveal how far it would go to protect itself. Behind the glossy skyline, a shadow war was playing out. Money, influence, fear, 3 weapons more powerful than guns. But what the system underestimated was the power of a connected world. Every deleted post had already been shared 1,000 times. Every silenced voice left behind an echo. You can silence a person, but not the truth they've unleashed. Governments from Europe and Africa began to formally demand answers. NGOs gathered evidence, and the once untouchable image of Dubai started to bleed in the court of global opinion. The empire was still standing, but its walls were shaking. The Portapotty scandal didn't end with arrests. It ended with exposure. And exposure, when done right, is a kind of justice. By now, the story had traveled across continents. What began as whispered rumors in private villas had become a global headline. Governments that once looked away suddenly wanted answers. Brands quietly cut ties. And some of the elite, once untouchable, went into hiding. For the victims, it wasn't victory. It was visibility. Their stories were finally being told. Raw, unfiltered, undeniable. For years, the system had fed on their silence. Now, that silence was gone. International organizations stepped in, slowly, cautiously. But their presence alone meant one thing. The hidden was no longer hidden. Some embassies quietly issued travel warnings. A few governments began re-evaluating diplomatic stances. And tourism boards, once proud of their polished campaigns, went eerily quiet. Online, the story refused to die. Every week, new testimonies surfaced. New faces came forward. And the network that once thrived in the dark was now being mapped out in daylight. But the truth is, this wasn't just about Dubai. It was about power, silence, and exploitation that exists everywhere power hides behind luxury. When the world is built on illusion, a single truth can shatter everything. Some of the whistleblowers never resurfaced. Some victims rebuilt their lives far from where their pain began. But their voices created ripples, and those ripples became waves. The world saw Dubai differently after the scandal, not just as a city of lights and towers, but as a mirror reflecting how much we ignore behind the glamour we worship. And maybe, just maybe, the next time someone scrolls past a perfect vacation photo, they'll remember the hidden cost, because the most dangerous lies are the ones told in gold.